Creating content for your business is probably not working. Like you, we were the entire content creation department, Daryl and I, building Clipflow, but also trying to record content, edit that content, post every single day. And it was, to be honest, burning us out. We then made a key hire and it unlocked our content and freed our time to actually focus on the business. This is the Clipflow Chief Content Officer Playbook. We're going to walk through what you need to build your content team. So we're going to talk about the key piece in the puzzle, which is the head of content layer. So what are we going to cover? The first thing is why the head of content role actually matters, right? You might just be like, I don't need it, but we're going to show you why. What they're in charge of, how you find the right person, defining the mission, and that's your business mission, getting 100% buy-in from them, because they're an important piece of the puzzle and you want to make sure they stay here for the long term, what to look for in a head of content, and how you can set them up for success, right? This is what we've done, and we want to show you how. And I wish it was as simple as just typing this into Google, find me a head of content. It isn't a simple process, but it is definitely worth it, all right? Trust us. Trust me, bro. So here we go. So what's the actual problem? We're founders. You're a founder. You're not a content creator. We don't understand content. You may, we didn't, but if you already know content, you're probably not watching this video. So the key is here. It's something that we can learn over time, but we want to bring the future forward by paying for that. We want to pay for time, bring all those learnings in so we can keep growing, right? So originally, it was a lot of content for us, not much business. We wanted to be the other way around, which is a little bit of content so we can be on camera and represent our brand, which is key. But we want to do a lot of business. We want to grow the business. We want to build the machine. We don't want to just be an employee that's underpaid in our company. We want to be building a business that can run and operate with or without us. So yeah, if you're like us, you want to spend your time building business, not on creating content. You don't want to be managing the content team because it's a misuse of your time, your focus, your energy. You want to be focusing on the biggest thing holding your business back or the biggest constraint from growing and doing everything you can to focus on that problem. That's what we do as founders. That's how we grow businesses. We find what's holding us back and we fix it. Then we move to the next problem. That's why we love it, right? Problem solving. So ideally, you can just show up, be the face of the brand for a couple of hours a week and then move on with your life, and the rest of the machine just keeps churning. That's what we want. That's the goal. And that's what we believe we've actually achieved in a very short period of time. So here we are. We're just crushing it up here, living the dream. The head of content's just taking all that energy in and protecting it from hitting the top. Only the good things, the strategy, and all the things we want to be involved in filter up. This is why you need a head of content. It is the key hire in your content ops team, right? Just like a CFO is for your finances. You got your chief revenue officer. You got all these pieces. You got your head of engineering or your CTO for tech. We want our chief content officer to handle all this. So why do we need the head of content? The head of content will manage the entire content team. That is their role. So that'll free up a heap of time and act as a filter. So you only have to work on the important things in the content. So it's like, what strategy? How does it align with the other business goals? All those kind of things. We think that this layer is actually worth adding, even though we try to keep our organizations as flat as possible, right? Like adding layers is never that good, but there are times where it makes sense. And we believe this is one of them. So hiring the right head of content with experience in capturing attention will unlock ideas, execution, and knowledge about content creation. So the things that we don't know yet as founders, we want to hire that person and then learn from them. And you'll be able to learn from them over many years, right? So we want to be able to unlock all of that knowledge without having to spend many years learning it. It's paying for the experience instead of having you or your team try and figure out, right? We're just trying to bring that time forward. How can we compress that? So that's why you need one. Super important. Now, what do they actually do, right? So the head of content, or like I said, the chief content officer for short, is the person in charge of managing the content operations end to end. So in practice, what does that actually mean? Processes and systems. So implementing the things that we need to make sure we can produce content every time in an orderly manner and that it's the same quality, right? There's no blockages. If we bring in new team members, all those processes and systems in place so we can get everyone spooled up very fast. They're in charge of strategy, research, ideation. So those kind of things go together. It's like figuring out what kind of content we need to make, researching those ideas and then fleshing them out for us, putting them into good scripts, planning out our content. How does it all come out and fit together? Managing the team is key. And then analyzing the results to show us what we need to do more of, helping us improve. So looking at that and constantly trying to push us to improve and get better and make better videos, and then upskilling the team, right? That's a lot. There's a lot there. And that's why we think you need this person. Because that, as a founder, to add that on top of everything else gets a bit much. And you probably just don't have the skills or knowledge to do that. We want to become contributors, not the key piece here. And I think that this is what we've done early on, and then we're actually reaping the rewards of this. So you can see here's our head of content, here's our editing team, and then in the background as well, they run the meetings. We can jump in or not. That's the beauty of it. We don't have to be there, and the thing keeps moving. We've then built our dream team, and they get all our content across the finish line. All right. Now, how do you find your very own unicorn? Look, I'm not going to lie, it's not easy, but like anything, if it matters to your business, you need to get it done. If it's the core constraint, if content is a strategy and a main strategy for you, it's something you need to dedicate your attention. So this is where the founder steps in. There's a problem, a constraint, which is finding the talent. You now need to go and be that. So the head of content will be one of your A players. They will be the person that you're interviewing with like intensity to make sure they fit your culture. And if you're interviewing them and it doesn't feel like you need to move mountains to get them, just move on. They need to click. They need to get it. You need to feel like this person is going to jam and just win. That's super important. And I love this thing that the quote of Hormozi says, an underrated business hack. Cut 3 B players to hire 1 A player and pay the A player what you'd pay 2 B players. Save more, make more. This is a key principle in business. It's not just him saying this, is said a lot. But really, we want to spend here. This is where we want to spend the money. So if we have other people that are like not ideal, get rid of them and hire 1 great head of content, right? Because this person will really unlock a lot in your business. And it's unlikely that the ideal candidate is going to come or will be actively looking for a new job. They're really good at what they do, so they're probably already doing something on their own, or they're probably already employed. So you're going to need to do outreach, right? You're going to need to start connecting with the people that you think are going to be able to do a good job, and then see like who's making great content and how can I get them on my team. So our story was we hired our head of content's business. So he was running his own business to edit content for us as a YouTube agency. Now, what we saw was the agency model didn't really work for our business. We needed 100% buy-in, which we're going to touch on in a second. But we actually developed a relationship over time. And then we just one day just randomly asked him, because we've been talking about it for months. So I just said, do you want to come work with us? Give up that, come work with us and build something really big, right? And this is where we lead straight into the mission. Now, it's really important that your business has a mission that the person, and this actually goes for anyone you're recruiting. You need to have a mission that people can buy into, believe in, that's bigger than just you and what your goals are, but actually what's the company trying to achieve, right? Every business has a mission. It could be as just we want to make heaps of money. And that mission works for some people. Some people are like, yeah, I just want to make heaps of money. But we are trying to solve something different. We are trying to solve content for businesses on scale, people scaling. And that really worked well, or that mission sat well with our head of content. So like it says here, it's like, if you're struggling with hiring great talent, then you need to define your mission, because that is such a big thing. People want to believe in what they do. And if all you have to offer is a great salary, the odds are that you're always going to struggle with recruiting and keeping great talent. Because the thing is, if all you have is a salary, the next company can just offer more and you lose that person. There's nothing more to hold that. You need to be able to quickly explain what your mission is and why does your business exist and what problem it's trying to solve. This is so key. And I think a very good example of this is just simply have a look at the crazy hiring happening right now with Meta in big tech. They're busy sending like $100 million checks to AI, top AI people. And, you see people rejecting this. Like, you think they're crazy, but they don't believe in the mission of that company. They would rather stay earning less money in a company where they believe in the mission. So everyone's different. And this is why it's so key to have a mission, because that's your thing. And if it sits better with the person, it's going to work well. So we set out to be the best project management platform for teams creating content. And our head of content wanted to build something that would impact a lot of people. That was one of his goals in life. So this aligned with his goals and was a great fit. And that's how we were able to, sell our mission. But we already knew what we wanted to do, so we were able to communicate that, right? So yeah, your company's North Star does not necessarily mean your mission. So find out what that thing is. Now, we need to make sure that our recruited head of content is purely focused on winning, because I love this one. It's silver is the first place of the losers. It's so harsh, but it's so true. So we want one goal, one mission. So we need all the focus, all the energy, all the time, and just in on winning. And how do we do that? So we need total buy-in from the person to really deliver the maximum value for the business. Having a mission is key at the start, but being bought into the upside is also key. So you want to have a mission, but then you want to be rewarded for achieving that mission, right? What's the point of having a mission if you get nothing at the end either? So you obviously don't need to do this. You don't need to do this. It depends where you are and like how you feel about all these kinds of things. But we believe it is an option you should consider if you want to build a dream team. There's a reason that Silicon Valley offers options and shares to key employees. And if content is core to your business, you should do the same, right? Content is core to our business. We do the same. We do the same for key employees, especially early on. Like people get really funny about giving away pieces of their company but in the end of the day, it's only worth so much. If that person is so valuable and they could double your business, why would you not give them a share of that, right? Like having 100% of zero is zero, or having 100% of small numbers it sounds cool. Would rather have a small percentage of a large number as a founder is better, but you're going to need key people to drive that for you. So having these benefits in place mean that the employee will also consider financial performance when creating content to ensure it delivers on company goals. I think this is so key. By being part of the business and part of having a slice of the pie, that actually when they make the content, they think about that as well. Like, how will this drive revenue? How will this drive the goals? Because they're obviously incentivized now to do so. So some of the options available are obviously shares and options to purchase shares. You have profit share, so you could give them a portion of profit. Now, if you're in big business, it could be a portion of profit generated from one revenue stream or one marketing stream, or you can figure this out. It's all different for every business. But then there's also performance bonuses. So you can say, if you hit 10,000 subs by here's X dollars. That works really well to motivate people. Like money does motivate people as well. So something to really focus on and is making sure that everyone is in on the same goals and missions and we all win. Now, what do you look for in this person, right? So you found them, they're doing great content, but now you want to sit down and you want to actually figure out like, what are the little things that you need to keep an eye out for and make sure that they are the right person? So we focus on a few things. Ego, leave that right at the door. We don't have time or space for that. Some companies are built on ego, and that's what it drives their business. We don't, so we don't care about that. But some of the key things or the key ingredients that go into assembling the best head of content for your business, and definitely our business, is communication, number one, right? If you can't communicate ideas, how can you even be a good storyteller? You can't, so you're probably not the right person for the job. Results. What results have they got in the past? We don't want someone to really be learning unless you're very early on and you just think they're going to do great. But I mean, I would imagine if you're watching this video, you're probably a lot bigger company and you really want to take content to the next level. So let's look for someone with results. Just the same way, like for me, if I'm looking for an engineer, I'm looking for someone with experience that's done it before. You kind of want that thing. Energy. Super key. You want energy, especially with content. You want to be able to put that energy, push it through the camera and get it into the other side, into the viewer's eyes. That is going to, just affect the content. It's going to affect the team. Like if you come flat, like, hey guys, that's not going to drive and motivate a team. So leaders need to have energy. They need to be able to pump that energy in. We want a culture match. We want to make sure that they fit with what we believe, how we want to operate. If you don't have that match, you're going to have a hard time having them there. And then just details, right? You're leading a team. You're leading processes and systems. You need to have attention to detail. Very, very important. If you focus on those 5 things and chuck the ego in the bin, I think you're going to do well when looking for your head of content. Now, we want to set them up for success. This is like any role in a business, and I will talk about this all the time. But you found the right person. Now you need to work on the systems and processes to set them up for actually succeeding in your business. So you're going to need tools. What kind of tools do we need for content specifically? We need a tool to plan our content projects. We need to be able to review edited media within the team. We need to be able to collect feedback. We need to be able to link to inspiration. So where do we store ideas and inspiration? Where do we track progress? How do we maintain our asynchronous feedback loops? Because realistically, if you're going to follow along with our story as well, we want to create remote async teams, which means we can spend less for the same level of talent, right? Because that means we can build a nice team that can operate remotely, and we need to be able to maintain those loops. You need tools that can allow you to do that. Now, there are a lot of options out there, and a shameless little plug, we use Clipflow, right? You can use whatever you want. There's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of options. It allows us to manage everything in one place. So nothing's lost with our editors, and our head of content can work at maximum efficiency. But we have also put together a 90-day plan, a video on how to set up a 90-day plan. So the first 3 months of the hire, what are the critical steps that you need to implement to make sure that people actually succeed? So we are going to add a link to that. We've also added some resources that you can download. But if you need more info like this in your life, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching to the end. We are building and documenting the entire process that we've used to set up our content team, which has taken us from like 800 views a month to now over 40, 50,000 in a very short period of time, and without us having to put in heaps of time and effort. And I think that's the key. We get to focus, Darren and I, as founders, get to focus on the business and how to empower all the different teams, because we don't just have content, we also have product and marketing and ads and all that different things, and all the stuff you got to wear, all the hats as a founder. And by taking and hiring this key role, it's really allowed us to do that. So hopefully you enjoyed this one, but until next time, catch you on the next one.